You are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxshall, in which I chronicle my life and attempts to become a professional writer by, doing some writing, daily, hopefully. Hello, today is Thursday the 28th of November 2024 and you are listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer. Sorry I didn't appear yesterday, I just... Again, didn't get any writing done. I didn't fancy coming on to say I haven't got any writing done. So today has been a productive day. So I have just signed off chapter 37. And as I said, because I've done it on the live stream. And as I said to the people on the live stream, it shows you how my rate of work has slowed down recently. Because I signed off chapter 36 on the 13th of September. So that's remarkably slack. So chapter 37 is signed off. I think it's a good chapter. I'm not quite sure. Certainly I like it, but I like where the character stuff goes. It sets up for, basically I've got 2 chapters left to write now. So I've got the big final actiony moment where whatever happens and who survives, and those who don't, and so on. And then I've got... That's chapter 38, and then chapter 39 is the one that I lovingly refer to as the chapter of death. So it's the chapter where I visit a lot of the ancillary characters and show what happens to them in this horrible world where nearly everybody is going to die. So it's going to be quite a depressing chapter. Now, at one point I debated putting it now, but I think I'm going to establish that the only reason that the oxygen levels are dropping so quickly where they are is because they're in a forest. Whereas in the outside world where there is less trees and less plants around, it will take longer. So urban areas will take the longest time to run out of oxygen. I think that's the main reason I should do the chapter of death towards the end. And I'm still playing with which characters I'm going to cover. I'm going to have to put in Ronnie's parents. I'm going to have to put in the new lovely bad guy Prime Minister. I'm going to have to show what happens to the old Prime Minister, Derek Cockerell Wright. I've kind of already alluded to that earlier in this chapter, actually, how that's going to end. And originally I was going to have him shooting the members of his family, but as I've said on here before, that would make his last moments almost identical to that of Mr. Frobisher from the 3rd series of Torchwood, which was called Children of Earth. It was also played by Peter Capaldi, actually. And I don't want it to be a carbon copy of that, so I'm going to have him poisoning them at a big family meal get together and everybody. So Ronnie's parents, and then also there is going to be a couple of people who who are alive at the end of whatever happens in the next chapter. There'll be a couple of people that are still alive. Thanksgiving. Yeah, well, it's what time of year is this? Yeah, it isn't Thanksgiving, I don't think. I think it's, I can't remember what time of year. Oh no, this is sort of May, June time. So, but sorry, I'm just responding. Again, that makes no sense to people on the podcast. I'm responding to, because I'm doing this live on a live stream, I'm just responding to something somebody's put in the chat on the live stream. So it'll make no sense if there's no images to go with this. So there's that, and then there'll be a couple of characters whose... maybe 3 characters whose what happens to them isn't going to be immediately resolved in chapter 38. So chapter 39 will be the chapter of death, and it will resolve what happens to the last couple of characters. Some of them will live, some of them won't. And then that leads me very nicely into my epilogue, which is set in the new world with some of the survivors, and it wraps up everybody's storyline nicely and isn't an unhappy ending for everybody, because as you'll have realised, quite a few people have made it through, have been designated survivors, and will be in the world, as I've said before, or in the world after the world ending. So I'm not going to say apocalypse, because apocalypse means the end of the world. But anyway, so there'll be people that survive the end of civilization as we know it, and it'll be about what sort of happens to them. And I've deliberately set this up in a way that it's not going to be all dystopian. It's not going to be full of people running around with guns trying to control everything, a bit like most dramas that are set after an apocalypse. After a civilization falls. Things like Survivors, Day of the Triffids, the zombie one that I can never remember what it's called. It won't be like that. It's been set up in a way that there will be the survivors will basically have a not difficult but not easy life either. So they'll be growing their own food and bits and pieces. And yeah, it's going to be, as I've said before, it's not a world where I'm going to write any other stories. It's going to be the end of the story. And I don't really want to tell the story about people basically living off the land after that, which is basically what would happen to the survivors. But yeah, so another milestone reached. Although I had set myself the target of finishing this first draft by the end of this month. Well, given that it's the 28th today, I've therefore got 2 days to write the final 2 chapters in the epilogue. That's definitely not going to happen. I'm not even going to set myself. I could instead say, instead I'll make my deadline the end of the year. I'm not going to give myself any deadlines. I'll write when I can and when I want to. Hopefully I will start doing something with chapter 38, tomorrow. But yeah, I do feel like I've finally managed to achieve something. It's been a really bad month in terms of getting writing done. Bearing in mind I took the month off work to do this. That's feeling like a bit of a mistake now, because I haven't. Anyway, that's it for the podcast. I will be back hopefully tomorrow to tell you I've done something, even if it's just write chapter 38 into a new document. Thank you for listening. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye. You have been listening to The Diary of a Wannabe Writer, presented by Richard A. Boxall. Thank you for tuning in to my random ramblings, and if you'd like to know more about me or my projects, visit my link tree at linktr.ee/Richard Wright, capital R, capital W. Thank you for listening.